multidimensional database regarding campus safety and security. Um, this database basically is a summary of all the different. It's actually from a real the data.gov website, which has real data on campus crimes that happen throughout the United States for the years 2012 through 14. And using this real data, we could use it to create reports that would help, for example, the police department, or just can be used to inform students about what their campus environment will be like if they're going to a school. And it also it's an example of an OLAP database, which is online analytical processing, which is used to help people make decisions, especially in business, but also in safety and security situations as well. And those kinds of databases are set up differently than your run-of-the-mill transactional database, like what's used in a grocery store, for example. So here's an example of the raw data from the website, the data.gov site. And actually, I'll just go ahead and zoom out for a sec here and show you some of the. This is the actual file that I got, and this is just one of many files. But as you can see, there's just a lot of data here, lots and lots, and a lot of Boolean data that most people probably can't even understand. It just looks confusing, but yeah, just lots and lots of rows of data here. So, anyways, all this data is all jumbled up and mushed, and from this we had to create an online analytical processing database to be used to help. I'll show you what we mean. So here are some of our dimensions in fact table. These are all the, I guess, subtables, are like the definitions of the tables that we had to make to compose this OLAP system. So you have a table for time, and because the data from data.gov is kind of broad, it mainly just goes over years, so it's not too in-depth, but in most tables you have more information like dates, specific dates and months, times maybe, etc. And then we have a crime category, which has what type of crime happened. And probably the biggest thing we have here is location. There's a lot of information, like what university happened at, what was the address, the city, state, zip code, etc. And then finally we have the fact table, which is kind of a combination of all three of these different dimensions, and it creates a fact, which is the crime number. For example, at a specific time and a specific category, and at a specific location, at a specific time and specific location, a specific crime happened, and there was a certain number of those, and that's what we're going to be looking at here today. So here's some more examples of the crime category tables. Actually, let me go back there a sec. These are all the different categories of crimes they have here, and then these are the 3 years I was talking about earlier. So that's the kind of data that will be used in the tables, and as well as this is just a small sample of all the locations, but for every school and every branch of a school, there's going to be all this information here. And this is an example of what the fact table does. It basically takes all this data together and helps to create a fact, which is in this case is the crime number, the number of crimes that happen at a specific time in a specific location and of a specific category. And our OLAP system can be used to, I guess, measure that data, drill down, etc. We'll go into more depth. So here's the ER diagram. It kind of shows what I was trying to say. Here are your 3 dimensions. You have the location, time, crime category, the time, and then the fact table, which takes all those information from all 3 of those dimensions and into a fact, which is the crime number that happened at that place. And as you can notice, each of the different dimensions has only one key, but the fact table itself doesn't have a primary key, but a composite key of all the different primary keys of the combined dimension tables, which is something I learned in this course. As you can see here, this is an example of the cube structure that is generated from this kind of setup. So, for example, here we have the years, 2014, 13, 12, and then you have the locations. This is just a small example. This would encompass all 50 states, but really we're just looking at Texas, California, and New York in this example. And then crime categories, you have murder, robbery, arson, etc. And if you could visualize all three of these things coming together to make a cube, a data cube, and for example, if there was let's say a robbery that happened in California in 2014, that would correspond to this top data point here, and that's where the little sign is pointing to, and that would imagine a three-dimensional cube that has all that data at a specific location, and that's what we're going to be, I guess, simulating here. And so there's also some data hierarchies, especially when it comes to the location in our table. A lot of geographical hierarchies. For example, at the highest level you have the state, and then it goes down to the city, then the university name, and a university can have actually many different branches. So you can have, each campus that's part of a university system is also included in that drill down. And I think on the right there's an example of some of the data that we have there. And as you go from the broader to the more granular lower levels, you have what's called the drill down, and that's what helps a lot of people make their analytical decision making choices. Because you could know all of the different sales that happen for a particular store, but then you say, what was a particular product they were looking for? What was a particular brand that was selling the most? And that's an example of drill down. In this situation, we're looking at a drill down from state to city to university and finally campus to get very specific information about what kind of crimes happen there, and we'll go over that in just a second. So in the end, we got this kind of, it was a pivot table that shows, if you look on the right, you can see there's different crime categories, facts, the location. These are all the dimensions, and we put them together, and we into this little pivot table at the bottom, and you can just move those little, I guess, sections around, and it will restructure the table you see on the screen according to how it is. Right now it looks kind of confusing. You can see Alaska for 2013, 14, 15, all the different crimes that happen. You get a ground total because it sums up all that information. This is in Excel, by the way. But we can use this information to do much further stuff, and we can even create graphs out of it, as you'll see in the next slide. This is an example of the total campus crimes by year. So using this very exact same Excel file, we were able to create a graph that shows the total number of crimes that happened on all the campuses in our record from 2012 to 2014. And as you can see, there's definitely a downward trend, which is good for students to know. That's a good sign. I'm not sure how 2015 fared, but we'll see. And here we have crime totals by state, and you can see all the different states and which states have more crimes, which states have least. You can see California has the most crimes of any state. And so let's say, okay, well, let's get some more information on it. So here we go even further in detail, and we can get the different crimes by state and year. So for example, in the far left you have California, and you can see it has the number of crimes that happened in 2012, 13, and 14. And as you can see, there's a lot of crimes in California compared to any other state.